complexity of the project was that we took a single-story kind of warehouse-type facility and converted it into a two-story administration building.
The project itself consisted of us going into the building, excavating out about 3 to 4 feet, coming in with helical piers for defoundation supports, new foundations, new structural steel with a hollow core second floor, and then basically finishing out the space for operations for the Iowa Air National Guard. Some of those areas top secret, and obviously I can't explain what those might be. I don't even really know.
We have what they call ICD 705. Short, they call it for SCIF. It's a very secret room, essentially. The amount of materials and what you do to place that is extremely different than normal measures. There's multiple layers and details I can't talk about, but it's really hard because nobody builds them. It's very specific, and so we had to sit down and actually walk through that. It's inspected quite a bit throughout the entire project, and then the security requirement behind it was pretty tough.
This project involved a skiff wall which combats all sound penetrations with sound blast doors. So it consisted of double layer of drywall on both sides with a lot of sound caulking. So that was the most intricate part as regards to decibels for the sound that to penetrate outside the building, outside the confined space, so they conduct their work back behind that wall.
We had missions that were ongoing. At the same time, we're doing construction right next to it. We did 3 different skiffs in the same facility, and that was pretty complicated. The most was we dug about 3 to 4 foot down into the current foundation, so we can go ahead and make this 2 stories.
It's a little bit different design when you take out floor and actually lower it down 3 feet, because you got to get in and out of the building. There's just different problems of trying to get in over a foundation, and then building a second story inside of a short area.
Very, very little space above the ceiling grid to do power, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing with Lang. And working with them, they definitely stepped in with 2 feet to actually get that all accomplished for our needs.
A lot of logistics that went along with that. Coordination of the structural steel and the hollow core, getting them in and out of the building. We really only had a couple openings inside the building, one at the main lobby area. And then we're separated in the building itself because at one time the warehouse actually had an addition. So we had a second opening that we then had to bring in other material as well, more hollow core, more structural steel in order to build that second floor.
Digging down, taking out concrete to go build 2 floors. I mean, that's literally unheard of typically. I want to thank Lang. They've definitely worked with me. I worked with both superintendents directly. They always had a really good relationship, open-minded. Every time we wanted something or needed something changed, they always worked with us to get it accomplished, to get this building moving for our new mission.
This project that was completed by EDGE involved our intensive care unit, and we needed to expand the bed capacity to 36. We had been having 24, and we also needed to provide a much better family waiting space that had better privacy and more confidentiality for the patients' families, and gave them some feeling of healing and comfort themselves.
It involved really the adult acute care area, including the waiting room and a little satellite space.
A complete renovation of 2 stories, second floor and third floor of the CICU critical care unit. We added a new mechanical room to the roof of the building.
The biggest challenge was that we had to work within the unit where sick patients are. So communicating with staff, communicating with our workers to make sure they knew what the patients and their families were going through.
The biggest challenge of this project was how do we do the construction around an operating intensive care unit? It's a sophisticated construction with all of the medical gas and the negative and positive pressures, trying to keep construction dust and noise and all of those items out of the way of the patient and the staff and the physicians.
It's challenging when workers come from a different project site that's not at a hospital or in this sort of environment. They're used to being able to talk loud, do work uninterrupted, and so educating the team became really important, and helping them feel empathy for what the families were going through so that they made sure they were acting appropriately and doing their work as quietly as possible. The transformation of the family waiting space was pretty remarkable. just the design of the space, the material, the different materials that were used.
Relocated the entire staircase from the middle of the existing to the exterior wall of it. Had to do a big floor infill, all the structural steel that we had to add and that kind of stuff.
Just creating the pod environment and thinking about those families, and now they have separation and they can be, you know, together in their own semi-private space. So infection control wise, we're looking at plastic absolutely everywhere. We create a negative environment using fans where we're blowing air out of the project site, so all the air is being sucked in. Those are kind of the infection control pieces. We used some wetted mats to make sure everybody's feet were clean going in and out of the project, as well as a foot bath system.
This was a complicated process, and we needed a great team to be able to be compassionate toward our families and our patients, and Edge did a wonderful job of that. I'm just so grateful to the Edge Corporation for all of the work they did, and we are so proud and thankful that they were our team that completed this project.
The overall scope was to redesign and upgrade the emergency department. Our old emergency department was probably built in the 70s. We had 13 care spaces, 8 beds. We had curtain cubicles. We had 1 bathroom. Our patient volumes went up, as well as, you know, we increased staffing and providers, but we really didn't have any more space.
Constructing a new emergency department addition, as well as a remodel of the existing space. That involved several different departments. Urgent care was also tied in with it. They had to increase their waiting space and revamp their space in conjunction with the emergency department.
First, there was a demolition of an old ambulance garage. So this was a concrete bunker, literally, that had to be demolished. And that made way for the new square footage of the ER. So we incorporated much of the existing interior space to the ER and added additional square footage onto the same space, so it was all concurrent.
Well, the fact that Woodruff has their own cranes, that helped a lot on that addition, and it made things flow really smoothly.
This emergency department is landlocked, so there's one way in and one way out. There's only 2 entrances to the facility back here, urgent care and the emergency department. So one of those was always shut down. So the biggest challenge was keeping access for the community to the emergency department and urgent care while we're still able to do our work. So
with most ERs, I would say with all emergency rooms, this was equivalent to remodeling the airplane while it's flying. Patients still come in. This is a 24/7 service. We can't impact care. This is an essential service to the community. So really remodeling an ER while you're still providing care to the patients, that was critical.
We would use the blueprints, use Bluebeam software, and kind of highlight our areas that we're working, highlight the hospital workflows, and kind of add some dates and some scheduling to that so they could visually see the areas we're working and visually see where they needed to route their patients and their staff.
And Woodruff was very accommodating. They were willing to do some work, you know, in more off hours, as well as maybe breaking some things up into multiple phases just to get the overall project in.
We'd really like to thank Woodruff Construction, their whole crew, Jeff, Chad. They've been more than helpful, more than accommodating. We're going to miss them. Leo Daly has been exceptional too. Could always email them, ask them whatever we needed. So it's just been really great. It's a beautiful ER. We love it, and it's thanks to them that we have it.